Hi guys, Linda here from Create Your Future. I have a very juicy video where I'm going to go through some of the most popular words, terminology, um, techniques, phrases that are easily thrown around in the law of assumption community. So I'm going to try to give you guys the best definition I can and a description or example of what all of this stuff means because it's super overwhelming, especially if you just started. So I'm hoping that I get through the most popular ones and kind of clarify that for you. But before we begin, don't forget to check the description box below if you would like coaching from yours truly. I'd love to help one-on-one with you. And also, we are offering a free course about how to uncover your blocks and manifest fast. So check that out. And let's begin. So the first thing I want to discuss is the difference between a law of assumption and law of attraction. So a lot of people started out with law of attraction. The book The Secret came out, and that's kind of what, in my experience, got people interested in how to manifest and live a better life and create the desires that they want. So law of attraction is still more so giving power to something externally. So the universe is going to bring it to you, or our higher self, or God. Sometimes people use things like crystals or moon water or certain days of the year and calendar and astrology that'll help bring things in for you, or the best times to attract something in. And of course, whatever you assume to be true and whatever works for you will work for you. And of course, many people have manifested using law of attraction techniques. And if that's what they believe in, that's what's going to work for them. Law of attraction also talks about vibrations and having to be high vibration to attract something in. And also things like what is meant for you will not pass you by. So basically, if you don't get something, it wasn't meant for you. And the universe will bring you this or something better. You'll hear like those phrases. So again, it's basically saying that if it's not meant for you, that means the universe is going to align everything up. You have to raise your vibrations a little bit higher to align with that frequency to attract that thing in. Or this or something better, which is I might want this SP, but if I don't get them because they're acting a certain way and it's not working out, then something better will come. So you're just having this like blind faith that the universe is going to align everything based on your energy, frequency, and states. Law of assumption, it's in its name. What you assume to be true will be true. Law of assumption is more we are in control. We are the operant power on what we say goes. Whatever we assume to be true will be true. So whatever we assume, fear, repeatedly tell ourselves, have experienced in the past is going to shape a self-concept. It's going to shape an identity. It's going to shape a combination of beliefs that we have. So whatever we assume more dominantly will be reflected back to us from something externally. And that we are in control of our thoughts, and that we have these thoughts based on whatever we've learned, experienced, seen from birth to about 8 years old, and that has shaped our conception of self in different areas of the things we want to desire, whether it's money, love, home, whatever the case may be. Now, there are similarities between law of assumption and law of attraction in terms of law of attraction will say something like vibrations and energy, where we'll say more something like states and self-concept. But they're both along the same lines that you have to be in a more favorable place in your mind for something to attract. Whether you want to say I'm high vibration or you want to say I'm in a good state and I have a good mental diet, very similar. The difference is law of attraction is something external. The universe is going to provide whatever needs to be provided and we're going to attract it in. And if we don't attract it in, it means it wasn't meant for us and something better may come. Whereas law of assumption says, no, what I assume to be true. So if I want that SP and he's acting unfavorably, it's not because this or something better or they weren't meant for me. It's because I'm thinking or assuming or fearing or I have a story about myself, relationships, or SP, or whatever it is, money, jobs, etc. And those beliefs are more dominant, and it's reflecting back to me. However, if I want that job, that SP, I'm going to have that job, that SP, because I'm going to change my state of mind, my mental diet, so that it will reflect back to me favorably. So I like law of assumption a little bit better in terms that I'm in control and I have experience with it. How many times has something happened? You're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking that, or I knew that was going to happen. This always happens to me. That's how you created it. So for me, law of assumption just makes more sense. So that's those two. Next is everyone is you pushed out. Sometimes you'll see it as EIYPO, like in an acronym. So everyone is you pushed out means that people are reflecting us. So whatever, again, I'm thinking, I'm fearing, I'm assuming, everybody and everything outside of me is going to have to prove that what I'm thinking and assuming is right. Whatever I'm thinking and assuming is going to be pushed out and they're going to reflect. So for example, if I say something like, if I have a belief that money's hard to come by, every time I make money, like I lose it so quick, everyone is me pushed out. So what I'm going to see in return is bills coming in, losing money, maybe losing my job, maybe getting money, and then my car breaks down and I have to fix it, so I'm losing money. Because what I have assumed internally, everyone is me pushed out. So what I don't want people to get confused with is, well, I'm not a cheater, so why was SP a cheater? Well, I'm not an narcissist, so why is SP a narcissist? It's not directly that type of you reflected out to you. It's your assumptions, your thoughts, your fears, your beliefs. So if I have an assumption, if I have a fear, or if I have a story because I keep calling SP a narcissist, then that's going to be reflected back to me. Now, if inside I feel like I'm not good enough, I'm not chosen, I'm not prioritized, people leave me, maybe I have a story that all men or women cheat, that's how I'll attract back to me, I'll have reflected back to me an SP that'll treat me in a way, like cheating, for example, that's going to validate my internal thoughts of not being good enough, not being chosen, people always cheat, people always leave me. So that's how everyone is you pushed out. So not directly like I'm not a cheater, why are they a cheater? More your internal experiences, thoughts, assumptions, mental diet, the stories you're telling, the things you're complaining about is going to be reflected back to you in all of your environment, person, place, or thing. And that's actually a really good thing, because if you want to know if manifesting is working for you, if you're on the right track, look at what's happening around you. If you're still repeating the same circumstances, if you still see the same pattern of the same thing happening with every partner you have, if you're still being triggered and reacting the same way when something happens, then you're still kind of holding on to those old stories. But when things start to turn out favorably and SP starts to call, you find a job that pays more money, then you know that it's working out, because again, everyone is you pushed out, the good and the bad and the ugly. So the next thing I want to discuss is no one to change but self. So what that means is, if we know that everyone is us pushed out, and if we know that law of assumption is what I assume to be true will be true, then that means I have to change my thoughts. I have to change my perceptions. I have to change my stories. So instead of saying, but SP cheated and my boss is mean and he fired me and they're looking for somebody taller, shorter, skinnier, younger, older, and that lottery was rigged and but them, you're not changing all of these things outside. You're not changing a person. You're not knocking on the door and saying, you need to show up favorably for me and be my husband or else. No, what I'm going to do is change myself. Okay, I have an assumption that he doesn't want a commitment. I have an assumption that he has a fear of relationships. You know, men usually leave me. You know, I don't feel good enough. Maybe he wants someone more pretty. Maybe he wants someone more younger. So what I would do is change myself. No one to change but self. I'm going to change my thoughts. I am beautiful. I am chosen. I'm amazing. I'm perfect for that job. That they're everything. I'm everything they're looking for. I always get what I desire because I'm worthy. I am chosen. I'm amazing. Everything always works out for me. Men always desire me. I have to fight men off with a stick because I'm so amazing, whatever the case may be. So once I start changing myself, then as a side effect, it'll reflect back to me where SP is going to act differently, or you're going to attract in a guy or a girl that is reflective of that new thing you're saying. So again, no one to change but self means it's what we got to change in here and in here, and it'll reflect back to us by a person, a job, whatever it is that we are desiring. So we're not changing anything out there. We're not manipulating anybody. So when people say, oh, free will manipulation, no, no, no. You're not doing anything to anyone or anything out there. You're changing yourself, your thoughts, your perception, your stories, and in return, all that will reflect back to you. So the next thing I want to talk about is brazen impudence. I love it. It just sounds so good with brazen impudence and conviction. I want you to manifest with brazen impudence and conviction. So Neville Goddard talks about brazen impudence, and that basically means you are going to manifest this thing come hell or high water. You're going to be bold. You're going to ignore the 3D. I don't care what happens. I don't care what I see. I don't care if I keep getting circumstances thrown at me. Guess what? I am going to get this thing. I'm going to get it. It's mine. I'm not giving up. I know it's mine. I don't care what's happening or what's not happening. It is mine. And you're going in gung-ho like it's happening. And I don't care what I see. And that's also where conviction comes in. You're going to say it with conviction. It is mine. I command that this is happening to me. You know what? I'm the operant power, and I'm going to say my affirmation with conviction. I'm not going to say, I'm wanted, I'm loved, I'm chosen. Again, you can do whatever works for you and whatever feels comfortable for you. But I'm going to say with conviction, no, I am chosen. I am loved. I am wanted. I am SP's girlfriend. I am a wife. I am a winner. I am a grand prize lottery winner because I said so. That's conviction. And what also goes with that is persist. So persisting just means to keep going. So it's similar to brazen impudence and conviction, a little bit lighter, and it's just you're just going to keep persisting. Same idea. If something slaps you in the face, you're going to say, no, that was the old me. I'm going to continue to go. SP is still mine. That job is still mine. Somebody might tell you, we're not hiring right now. It's not in the budget. And you're going to say, nope, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing my techniques. I'm going to keep doing my routine. I'm going to persist. I'm going to trudge through it until I get my desire. So those three kind of go together. Now, why we need to have brazen impudence and persist and all that is because there's going to be things happening in your 3D thrown at your face at times. So now is when you'll hear the terminology, ignore the 3D. So sometimes people say to me, well, how can I ignore the 3D if, I looked on social media and SP has a third party? Well, how can I ignore the 3D if I'm broke and I'm trying to be a millionaire? How can I ignore the 3D? You're not going to be delusional and ignore it as if it's not happening or not existing. We are human beings. Things are happening. Hello, like we see it. Ignoring the 3D means you're not going to dwell on it. You're not going to look for it. You're not going to continue to complain about it. You're not going to accept it as final. You're not going to react to it as if it's the be all end all and it's really happening and it's here. Everything in the 3D is malleable. People change their minds. People change their jobs. People can win a lottery overnight. You can get an inheritance. SP and 3P can get in a huge fight and come back to you. That's why we ignore the 3D because it's not concrete. So what I mean is you're just not going to react and give it that much meaning. For example, if you are trying to ignore the 3D because you're manifesting money and these bills are coming in, I see the bills. They have to be paid. I know. But I'm going to say, oh, wow, I have more than enough money to pay my bills. I'm so grateful for this money I have. Instead of, oh my gosh, another bill came. How am I going to pay for it? Even though it's there. I know it's there. But the more you keep saying that and focusing on the 3D and accepting the 3D as final, the more you're going to stick to that reality and the more you're going to attract the bills, the money, and all that. So remember, law of assumption is what you assume to be true. So an assumption is something that you believe is the truth without having any proof of it. So the same way you're saying, I'm going to lose my house, I'm broke, I'm this, I'm that, is the same way that you could say the opposite. I am so grateful I have more than enough money to pay my bills. I intend that every dollar I spend, I get $10 back. Because the subconscious mind doesn't know what's true or false, the more you keep saying, oh, I'm so abundant, I have more than enough money, I intend I always have more than enough money, and you focus on that 3D, then that is what you're going to create more of. You're going to see more of abundance, a bill being thrown out, a ticket being waived, a raise at work, a gifted amount of money, whatever the case may be. So that is how we ignore the 3D. I'm just going to hop on now and talk about 3D and 4D because I've been mentioning it a lot. So some people are like, well, what's the 3D? What's the 4D? So believing is seeing. I know the phrase is usually seeing is believing, but we know now in the law of assumption community that believing is seeing. So 4D is what's happening in your imagination, what you're thinking in your imagination, visualizing, seeing. The 3D is what's out here, like with your five senses, the real things you're seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, and touching. So everything was always created in imagination first. Before a TV was created, somebody had to think and say, oh, I want to make something that looks like this and projects an image and people can watch TV. And then eventually, some way, somehow, it manifested into the 3D. You found the workers, you found the pieces, you got a copyright for it or whatever the case may be, and a TV was created. So everything we think in the 4D will reflect and show up outside in our real world, our real life 3D, third dimensional and fourth dimensional. That's why when people say, well, what do I do when I miss third party? SP. What do I do if I want a call from SP? Okay, so in the 3D, you're not getting the call. You're not with SP. So you're going to go in the 4D. This is why we talk about visualization or SATs, which I'll get into later, is because if in your 4D you visualize the phone call, they call you, you answer it, you hear what they're saying. Again, your subconscious mind doesn't know if it's really happening or not. It doesn't know if it's truth or factual. So if you keep having that image, that visualization, those thoughts, that mental diet in your 4D imagination, guess what? It has no choice but to reflect in the 3D eventually at some point. So that's 3D and 4D. Okay, this one has lots of controversy. Inspired action. So I have a lot of people that say to me, his birthday is coming up. I'm inspired to call him. I was inspired to look on social media to check their account. I was inspired to call that boss and ask him for a raise. Okay. So inspired action, when people talk about it like that, is almost like you're looking for an excuse or a reason or a get out of free jail card to call that person or to drive by their house or, check their social media because I was inspired to do that. I was inspired to do that. No, don't try to convince yourself that you are inspired to do something. Number one, if you are jonesing to check their social media or jonesing to call them, that means within you're lacking, you're missing them, it's coming from a state of lack, you're not believing that law of assumption works, you're not believing in your power, SP might forget about me, I'm not sure if they're dating someone, so I'm going to, manipulate the middle, I'm going to meddle with the middle and do something so I can finally hear their voice because I'm very anxious, I'm very nervous, so if I call them and they answer, then I'm going to feel better. But then that's not really manifesting. That's kind of taking 3D action. So, inspired action is, you kind of don't know it's inspired action until afterwards. So for example, let's just say every week on my way home, I go grocery shopping at grocery store A. But today I say, oh, you know what? There's a new grocery store B. I've never been there. I think today I'm going to go check it out. So you decide to go to this new grocery store you've never gone to. You go there, you're shopping, and then you bump into SP. And that's how you start talking again. The inspired action was changing your mind and deciding to go to a different grocery store, which aligned you up with bumping into SP. So I didn't plan to go to the store to see SP. I was inspired to change my mind and go somewhere else. Another thing could be, for example, let's just say I'm trying to get a new job. I'm trying to find work, okay? And my friends invite me out for the weekend, and I say, no, you know what? I don't feel like coming. I have no money. I'm looking for a new job. I'm going to pass. I'm not going to come out. And your friends say, come on, Linda, please come. I'll pay for your drinks. Like, it's on me. And you're like, ugh, Okay, fine. And you go with them to this restaurant, this club, this bar. While you're at this restaurant, this club, this bar, you meet their friends or you meet a new person. And this new person or this new friend is saying, oh, I'm struggling at work. I need to hire 3 more people, but it's so hard to find good help. And you say, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm actually looking for a job. And you realize you have the credentials they're looking for and you get hired on the spot or offered the job. So the inspired action was changing my mind and going out with my friends, which aligned me with meeting this person. So that's inspired action. You don't really know it's inspired action until after. If you are trying to force or manipulate something in the middle, like making that phone call on the birthday and all that, that is called taking 3D action, or you could call it meddling with the middle, messing with the middle, however you want to word it. It means you're trying to do something in the 3D, probably from a lack, anxious, nervous, I have to hurry up, oh my gosh, type of attitude, and you're taking action to call SP, to drive by their house, to go on their social media. Now, I'm not saying you can never call them. You just got to sit back and wait for them to call. If you genuinely want to call to say happy birthday and you're okay with your mental diet and your self-concept, you're okay if they don't answer, or you're okay if they leave you on red, or you're okay if you realize you're blocked and you're like, oh, okay, no big deal. I know I can manifest him back and I can change that. I created that with my thoughts. I just want to call to say happy birthday. Cool. Then do it. But if you're already asking, should I call? Or while you're calling, you're already nervous, or you're trying multiple times before you actually do it, right there, that's a sign you're not in the right mindset to make that call, to take that 3D action, to manipulate the middle. So I wouldn't do it. Or calling third party to break them up, or purposely posting, sexy pictures of you, or pictures of you at a club with another guy or another girl because you're trying to see if SP watches or if SP likes, or you're making him jealous. That's part of taking 3D action and manipulating the middle, which again, it's the intention behind what you're doing. If you just want to post a beautiful picture, go ahead. But what's the intention really behind what you did it? And it may backfire in that way. And if it does, you have to be okay with that happening. Okay, SP, as we all know, is specific person or special person. But an SP doesn't always have to be a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a love interest. An SP can be that boss that you're trying to, convince to hire you. SP can be your mom that you're trying to see differently because you don't have a great relationship with them. SP can be that best friend that you had that you no longer talk to and you're manifesting them back. So specific person, special person, doesn't always have to be only a love interest. SC is self-concept. So what self-concept is your conception of self in different areas of your life. So somebody could have a good self-concept when it comes to money, but have a not so good self-concept when it comes to relationships. So for example, if I was raised poor, single mom, barely had money, mom was crying over money and had to couldn't buy me special things and scrounge up food. And now I have a self-concept that money's hard to get, most likely going to be poor. I'm never going to be rich because of my experience as a child. I'm going to have a poor self-concept with money, where I too now might find it hard to make money, to save money, to get a job that pays well. However, if in that family, my mom was super loving and my siblings were super loving and my family always supported me and I have a great self-concept about love because I always felt loved, I always felt wanted, I always felt chosen, I'm going to have a good self-concept when it comes to love and relationships, that I'm chosen, that I'm loved, that I'm good enough. So I might have an amazing partner, but struggle for money. So that's what self-concept is. And I don't want you to confuse self-concept with confidence, because I have people saying, I know I'm beautiful and I'm confident and I'm amazing. Okay, but what's your self-concept about relationships? How do you see yourself in relationships? What kind of relationships have you had? What's your story about relationships? What's your story about SP? That's different. You could be beautiful, gorgeous, rich, amazing, but have a fear that men leave, women cheat, I'm always abandoned, because growing up you experienced that. So the self-concept is your conception of self. How do you see yourself in relation to that thing you're manifesting? Look at all these celebrities. I'm not going to mention any names. There are gorgeous, rich, loaded, famous celebrities that are going through a new husband monthly on the tabloids. Gorgeous, beautiful, amazing celebrities that are getting cheated on or their partners are having affairs. So they might have a good self-concept when it comes to money, fame, getting their desires, living out their dreams, but then they have a poor self-concept when it comes to relationships. Okay, so assumption. Just to clarify, like I mentioned earlier, that an assumption is something that you believe to be true without proof. So if I want to say, oh my gosh, SP is going to do this and I'm never going to get the money, do you know that for a fact? Did it already happen? Did somebody tell you? No, you're assuming. You don't even have proof that this negative thing is going to happen. You're assuming and thinking and believing that this is going to happen. And that comes from a poor self-concept and, when you were raised, experiences you had in the past, maybe cultural beliefs. So those are our assumptions. That's why I say, if you say a positive assumption, if you have a positive assumption like money is easy for me to make, I'm so rich, I'm so abundant, love comes to me easily and effortlessly. Again, an assumption is something you're believing without proof, without seeing it. But the more you say that assumption dominantly, it's going to reflect back to you. Another thing that goes with assumption is limiting beliefs. You've probably heard the word limiting beliefs. So a limiting belief is something that is not factual, but you've heard it so much that you believe it's true. So for example, in some cultures, if you're not married by this age, you're never going to get married. That's not true. All around the world, people are getting married at so many different ages. But in that specific culture, oh my gosh, I'm this age, I'm not going to get married, it's game over, I'm going to be single forever. That's a limiting belief, which we also, through coaching and through chit-chatting and through these videos, can discover and change, because a limiting belief is not factual, it's not concrete. It's just something that you've been told so often that you're believing it. Or another limiting belief can be, oh, they're gonna hire someone with education. They're only gonna hire someone with a diploma. Some places might, but some places might want somebody that doesn't have a degree or diploma because they have their own training that they want to do. So limiting belief would be, I can only get this job or get a good paying job if I have college, university degree. So limiting belief is not factual, but you've heard it so many times that for you, you're believing it, and that could also be something that's hindering or blocking your desire. So to go with blocking your desires, blocking your desire, resistance, that kind of phrase. A block is basically that thing you're thinking of, that story, that thought you're thinking of that is stopping you from getting your desire. So a block for somebody could be money issues. So I'm trying to get a good job, I'm trying to get money, I'm living poorly, I don't have money. My block might be that I have a fear that money is hard to get. I have a fear that money doesn't grow on trees. So my block would be that. Or you're trying to get an SP and you have a fear that they might cheat. Your block is people are going to cheat on me and I have to change this block, remove this block in order to move forward. And then you change your blocks with affirming or using a technique, something to change and help your mental diet stay in the favorable story longer. Resistance. So resistance is similar to that, in which resistance is that, I like to say, you have two magnets. So if you have magnets that are at the opposite, polar opposites, they attract. If you get the same side, they like repel. So when they repel, that's resistance, that feeling. So it's like, I want SP, but I don't think it's going to work out. I want to get that job, but I don't think it's going to work out. You're creating your own resistance, that thing in the way, that thought, that fear, something that's going to put a doubt in your mind, which is going to hinder you from getting that. This is why when people say, I want to manifest on a time crunch, I want to get a phone call by Christmas, I want to get a date by Valentine's Day, you can do that. But sometimes putting an actual timeline and date on a manifestation, that in itself creates resistance. Because as you're getting closer to the date, you're thinking, I don't know if this is going to work. We're getting closer to the date. It's the 13th. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. You're creating resistance. You're creating something that's going to come between you. So can you manifest on a time crunch? Absolutely. But you have to be okay whether you get it or not. You have to have a clean mental diet and be fine with it. And whether you actually got that date by Valentine's Day or if you got the date on the 15th, you'd be fine with that. So that is that one. So the next thing I want to talk about is quantum leaping or parallel realities. This one gets kind of touchy. This one kind of gets a little bit confusing and scientific. Basically, we have parallel realities where there is a version of that thing out there and a version of us that has that thing. The fact that you even have this desire means it's yours, means you've had it somewhere. So if I'm Linda right here and I'm living in a condo, there's a Linda that's living in a house. And we can align that. So as I change myself internally and I keep a good mental diet, some way, somehow, I'm going to get that house. So I have now aligned to the parallel reality in which I'm Linda with the house. Another way to like do that or quantum leap, jump into that reality where you have that desire is every time you're affirming or visualizing, you're in that state of I am the version that's married. I am the version that's in that house. I am the version that's whatever. That's quantum leaping. You're walking into that reality and then it reflects in front of you and you're in the reality. Another example about that is like, did you ever look for a pair of keys, for example, and you put the keys here and every day after work, you put the keys here. This is the bowl, the special bowl with keys. Next day, you're going to get ready for work. You look, you can't find the keys. You're ransacking your whole house. You're looking for the keys on the chair, on the table. You're looking for the keys in the bedroom, in the bathroom. And you're like, you know what? I know I put them here. I'm going crazy. Where are the keys? So you decide to let that go. I'm going to take a shower and get ready for work, like clear my head. I'll find the keys when I come back out. You come out of the shower and that same bowl that you know you checked 500 times has the keys. Quantum leaping, parallel realities. You're doing it every second of every minute of every day. That's why you're having these experiences. Or if you meet somebody, you're like, you look so familiar. I know you from somewhere. Or deja vu. This feels weird. I feel like this has happened before because it has. We're always in and out of different states and different parallel realities that you don't even notice it. This is why we want to stay in our favorable story more dominantly so that we go into that reality and we attract into us and we align, however you want to word it, the version of ourselves that has that desire, the version of the person showing up favorably. So that is that. Another thing is states. You want to be in the right state. State just means where you're at. Are you in a state of happiness, of anger? Are you in a state of confusion? Are you in the state of not getting the desire, doubting it, fearing it? So that's what a state is. I want to be in the right state, right mental state. So when people say, oh, you have to manifest from the right state, you have to have a good mental diet, it depends what state you're coming from. What position are you coming from? Anger, anxious, clear-headed, 3D reactions, cool, calm, collected. So that's what states are. So we're always, again, changing states depending on your feelings, your thoughts, your fears, and all of that. Now I just want to get into detaching and giving up, letting go. So giving up and letting go is more like, you know what, forget it. This is not working. I don't want it. I don't want them. I'm done. Detachment is detaching from the when, detaching from the how, saying, I surrender. I know this is going to happen and we're good to go. I'm going to go on with my techniques. I'm going to go on with my routine. I know I'm going to get it. It's going to happen. So that's what detaching is. I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to check 3D. I'm not going to check social media. I'm not going to call them. I'm going to just detach from that worry and know that it's going to happen. Giving up is more like, forget it. I'm done. It's not happening. I don't want it. So some people are like, but if I detach, is that going to make SP not want me? It's actually the opposite. When you detach, you're opening up the path of least resistance to let them in. I got to call him. He didn't call me. I got to check his social media. I got to go 3D. I'm going to call his sister. I'm going to call their brother. I got to call my boss. I can check my bank account. You're creating so much resistance and so many blocks. You're attached. You're repelling it. It's like, you're giving them the ick. That thing cannot come in. When you detach and say, you know what? I don't know when and I don't know how, but I know it's going to happen. I don't need to control anything. I don't need to control the middle. I'm going to get it and it's going to happen. That's detaching. So they're not going to forget about you. You're not giving up. You're not doing any of that. So I know this video is getting really long, but I think it's so super juicy, and I think I probably covered everything that like I've been asked in terms of terminology, phrases, and all that. So the last thing I want to talk about are techniques. So just a reminder, the techniques themselves are not magic woo-woo. They're not magical spells. The techniques are the tools, fun, cool, different things we can do to help ourselves imagine what we want in the 4D, have a good mental diet, good thoughts, clear thoughts, because that's what mental diet is. So you could do all the techniques you want, but if you don't have a good mental diet, it's not going to work for you. So mental diet is, what am I thinking the rest of the day? What am I complaining about the rest of the day? Am I catching, observing, and changing those negative thoughts? Am I spiraling? Am I dwelling? Am I complaining to my friends about it? Am I looking at my bank account and, complaining about that? That's mental diet. What's going on here the rest of the day? Your thoughts, your fears, your assumptions, your stories. So, techniques. SATS, state akin to sleep. That is when you're just about to fall asleep, or some people do it like when they're just about to wake up and they're like kind of groggy, you're just waking up. Perfect time. So the assumption is that because you're in that state, the monkey chatter is not going on, your mind is cool, calm, and collected, you can saturate your subconscious mind more. And then you would do a visualization. You would picture SP, they're holding your hand, they're saying, I love you, the beautiful conversation, the phone call, the text, that's what you're doing. Or hearing congratulations, your boss is calling you and giving you a raise, opening up a lottery ticket, getting the money, whatever the case may be. So that's SAT. Visualization is the same thing, but can be pretty much done throughout the day. So visualization, again, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to visualize. You're going to see the scene. SP's walking towards you. He's got a flower. He gives you the flower, says, I love you. You're a female SP is coming. She looks beautiful. She's wearing a gorgeous dress. You have a flower for her. They came, they hugged you, they told you how much, and you're going to picture it. Some people say they can't visualize. So then I would say to script. So scripting, as people are scripting, you're still kind of feeling it, seeing it, imagining it, you're feeling it. So scripting would be like writing a letter in your diary. Scripting would be like writing a day, like the day after you have your desire, a month after you have your desire. So dear diary, or I am so thankful and grateful that me and SP are finally living together. He is so romantic and always surprises me with flowers. My SP, she is so beautiful and romantic. She's always surprising me and cooking me beautiful meals and writing sweet notes in my, in my lunch when I bring my lunch to school. I have the best job. My boss today just gave me a raise and told me how amazing I am. I'm so thankful and grateful for this job. Da, 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 da. So you're writing out the script. You can read the script in the morning. You can read the script at night. You can use the script to help visualize, and so on and so forth. Affirmations. So affirming is just a new thought. So if people say, oh, I'm doing the robotic affirmation challenge, it's not the robotic affirmations that are actually creating. What's happening is because you're repeating the same affirmation over and over again, you're saturating the subconscious mind to believe that it's true, and you're not leaving any space for your mental diet to stray or for anything negative to pop in. So that's why robotically, because you're saying it over and over again, works. So it's not the amount of affirmations or the 10,000 robotic affirmation challenge that's working. It's just a tool to keep your head thinking straight, thinking favorably. Affirmations are just the new thought. I'm ugly and old. I'm beautiful and fountain of youth. I will never get this job. I'm always getting the jobs I desire because I'm perfect and good enough for them. Affirmations are just the new thoughts. Okay, and vision boards. So can you make a vision board? Will it work? Yes, but again, when you're cutting out pictures of your relationship, the wedding dress you want, you're cutting out pictures of the house you want, you're cutting out pictures of what it would look like to be rich. That again is a tool that you have somewhere in your bedroom, in your wall, that you see it. And every time you see it, it's just reminding you of what you have. It's just that reminder that something's coming. The vision board itself is not going to magically manifest. It is just there. So when you see it, you feel it, you get excited when you see the picture of you and SP, when you see the ring, the picture of the vacation you put on there, your subconscious mind will think that it's real, think that it's true, and it will reflect back to you. So On that note, super long video. I hope I answered all the questions, so now it makes sense when you're trying to consciously manifest, because we're always manifesting, but now we're going to consciously manifest. Leave a comment down below if I missed anything, if you need clarification on anything, if there's any other jargon phrases, things about law of assumption that you would like some clarification on. Put it down below and I will be sure to make a video and respond and answer back to you. So I intend this was super helpful. Happy manifesting. You guys got this. Bye.